Hello, I'm Robert, and you're welcome here in my busy little shop. On today's episode of What's on My Workbench, I want to talk about the Leather Machine Company NP4 Skiver. I'm going to talk about the things that I like about it, and I'll be upfront. I'm going to talk about the things that I don't care for it. I'm going to put this out here hoping that maybe someone else has had some experiences and they can tell me how to adjust the machine a little bit, maybe to correct some of the issues. Now, that makes it sound like there's big problems with the NP4. And I'm going to say there's some annoying things about the NP4, but I will tell you, with my experience so far, I would not change my opinion about buying the NP4, but there's some things about it that I didn't like. I thought I would share those with you, and I will definitely share the things I like about the machine as well. So I've got a pretty good sized project I'm in the middle of right now, and that's why I thought now would be a good time to film this. The project will be on its own video, but I'm making some travel totes here, and I need to get these top edges skived. Now, this is about 5 ounce leather, and I'm going to be removing almost 3 ounces of that leather in a fairly wide skive. It's going to be cut like this. So that's, I'm just going to call it an inch. I'm going to remove an inch in width from that. So let's go ahead and do that here. It will go about as fast as you want to go. I wasn't wide open there, but I've got a nice skive along the top edge here to do my rolled top on this bag. Now, in the past, I've done this a couple different ways. I have hand skived, but it would be difficult. I'm sure there's people out there that can do it. Would be to start here and have a consistent thickness of skive, the total side to side of this piece from one end to the other. That would be, I think, extremely difficult to do by hand. So it does that very well. I'm going to give you some up-close footage of what's going on the cutting side of that. Let me grab another bag and we'll do that. So let's start with this small piece here. This piece of leather is 5.5 ounces, and I'm going to remove 3 ounces from a skive on the edge here. Cuts it very easily. You can see the pieces that skive off of it are collecting here. I've got a much longer one here I'm going to skive. I can do this without bumping the camera. As you can see, it doesn't really empty out the pieces of skived leather very well. I've got a pair of tongs here that it had scalloped edges on it. I removed those, left the point so that I can pull these out of here. So as a point of reference, the leather that I'm making the bags out of is it's an oil tan, which is in the chrome tan family. And Vince at the Leather Machine Company said that it would work also on veg tan leather up to 5 ounces. But I think maybe the bigger issue is that's a fairly firm leather. I've got some chrome tan here that's it's lighter weight. It's about just under 4 ounces, and it's a much softer temper. So let's just see how it responds, asking it to do the same type of a skive. And it's clear in there right now. As you can see, it's still a problem. Matter of fact, it has picked it up and it's ran it up underneath the feed foot up on the top. All right, so let's talk about a couple of things here. I'm not going to do a review of how to operate the machine. There's plenty of video out there. I want to talk about some of the things I like about the machine. One is I find it pretty easy to adjust my cut. The thickness of what I want to remove is done by this knob here. And Vince said that a quarter turn is an ounce of leather. So it's pretty small adjustments, but it's pretty easy. The handle here allows you to get your piece of work underneath of there if you want to start the skive, say halfway down, and then engage the presser foot and make your cut. The adjustments on the front of the machine here, I'll tell you, I don't understand why they don't, but they really ought to put some type of labeling on here of what each of those do. And the manual on the piece of equipment is extremely lacking in this area. About the only way that I could figure out how to make these adjustments was to do a YouTube search of other people using the equipment and find out what is, what adjusts each piece of this piece of equipment. The first thing I did was I thought I could figure it out and quickly got things out of adjustment, which I think is really probably a good thing because that allows you to figure out how everything works together and make those adjustments. But that's been a couple weeks ago, and right now I'd have to go back and watch that video yet again. So I'm going to get a label machine and I'll put some labels here. The texture of the machine here probably make it hard to get a label to stick there, but I can put the labels on the tabletop right below each one of those knobs. Let's get you a closer look. I've got another one of these. I thought I would get you a closer look of skiving this edge here. there's that skive. I will be skiving these areas here, but the width of the skive is going to be much smaller here. This is just where the seam is at. This is a roll down at the top of the bag. So I need to adjust this here. Now, I've said it before, I need to put some indication marks on here. I think that would help immensely. What I may do is just get some tape that's got a tape measure on it and just attach it to the side here so that I can more quickly make this adjustment here for what I'm trying to accomplish. So what I'm going to do is I'll go through all of my bags. I'm making 10 of these, and I'll do this top skive, and then I will go adjust this, and I'll do all of these edges. So here is a look of the front edge of the NP4 Skiver. And you can see there are adjustments across here, but there's nothing to tell you what you're adjusting. So I'm going to create some labels to put here. And what the leather machine company could do as well is they could create those labels and include it in with the manual so that you would be able to label these. Or, I don't know, maybe number each one of these and have a cheat sheet, something so that you know what you're adjusting. Like I said, whenever I get ready to adjust this, I end up looking at a YouTube video on how to do that. And I'm not saying that's a problem, but I think it could be easily fixed by making some notations on the machine of what we're looking at here. So let's talk about this drawer. This drawer here is like the one that's on the Cobra 26. And in the Cobra 26, you use it to hold tools, and it's pretty handy to have the tools you need for here right in the drawer here. When I received the machine, this drawer went the other way across here and went underneath of the cutout in the tabletop that it's supposed to expel all of these skive pieces from. And I get it. You don't need to put tools in here. Maybe their intention was that this would hold the skived pieces from the machine. The issue I have with that is it doesn't take very long if it is dropping items out to where it doesn't allow it to clearly fall out of the cutting wheel if it does spin that piece out. So what I did was I removed this and rotated it and reinstalled it. I'll use it as a storage for the tools on here. And then what I did was, I've had it before where I was just dropping the skive pieces down here near the foot pedal, and I could pick those up occasionally. I thought, and it's somewhat true, is that if it free falls and doesn't go into this drawer, that the weight of the skive piece of leather down here would allow it to fall out better. Let me show you what I put underneath here. So you got a little bit different view here of the skiver. I took a piece of cardboard and it just held on with two thumbtacks here on the front end of that cutout. And as I make some of these smaller cuts, you can see on some of these smaller ones, it does get rid of it. Now, it may not always slide down to the trash can, but it gets it away from the foot pedal. When I was first making cuts with this, I was just letting them fall down on the foot pedal. And it doesn't bother me. I can pick those up down there occasionally. But the idea was to help get these away from the drawer, because as they dangle down in the drawer, it doesn't take very long. And this shallow drawer is filled with those, if that's the intention. Other times with the drawer that way, I would just pull it out to where it wasn't blocking this hole and let them fall to the floor, and then I'd push it back. But then I would come over here and wouldn't think about opening that part of the drawer to allow it to fall freely there. But the biggest hang up for me is the fact that these pieces hang up inside of the bell of the bell skiver. So let me run this piece through here as well. Now, there's going to be somebody saying, you're using it for leather, it's not supposed to be used for It's supposed to be chrome tan only. This is an oil tan. Vince said that you could use it for up to 5-ounce leather. This is 5-ounce leather. So I know someone's going to throw darts at me and tell me I'm using it for the wrong thing. And just so you know, I've used it with just regular chrome tan leather, and it still does not expel those pieces out from the bell skiver. With all that said, I'll say it again. I want to make sure it doesn't get lost in the message. Knowing everything that I know today, would I still buy this piece of equipment? Absolutely. I really like the way it works. I like the adjustability of the depth of cut, the width of cut. I'm still using the original foot that was installed in the machine. There's other size feet to go on it, but the ability to do what I want to do with it, it outweighs the shortcomings of it. And I'm sure that this isn't information that the leather machine company doesn't know, but I wanted to share it with you. I said that I would share exactly what it is, and maybe there's other bell skivers out there that don't have some of the same challenges as this one does, but I'm going to say it again and again and again. I'd still buy the machine knowing exactly what I know today. I like the machine. It does an awesome job of what I need it to do. But it would be nice if it dropped all those out of there. Moving this drawer, and you can just pull it forward to where it's out of the way and let it fall freely. I think that that's a positive on this piece of equipment. I'm glad I have the drawer moved over. I can use it for what I intend to use it for. I don't have to worry about forgetting to move it and then have debris fall inside of it. The piece of cardboard was just an inexpensive farmer fix for that solution. So with everything that I've said, I'm going to say it again. If my best friend was saying, will that skiver work for me? Will I be happy with it? I think you will. Is there some things about it that could be, I think, improved? Absolutely. The biggest one for me, and it would be the easiest one, I think, for the leather machine company, would be for them to label what these knobs are for. You know, just some simple labels, and I'm going to make some, and I'll put them just here on this tabletop because this dimpled paint, and it's a nice finish. It isn't going to hold a label very well, but I'm going to label what these are with just some little labels on this tabletop. Maybe everybody else can remember what these, you know, 4 or 5 knobs here all do, but it's easy enough to make those labels. Let me move the camera around here. I feel like I'm maybe not in the frame very well. So I want to say the pieces of equipment that I have from the leather machine company, I like them all. There's things about them that, you know, maybe someone says, I wish this was a little bit different. There's those things on this piece of equipment that I'm that way with. One of them is the simple labeling of it. I'll make my own labels and put on there, but I think they ought to consider either finding a way to mark here on the machinery and then have a cheat card for it, or they should give you some labels you can put on the tabletop if you choose to do so. But there's enough moving parts here and adjustments. I'm sure that once I've used it for a year, then it'll all be second nature. But I'm going to tell you that, you know, grabbing it and using it for the first time, and I went in here and I thought I remembered what adjusted what, and I was wrong. And while on things I was wrong about, I said that this stone here that rotates and pulls that in, I said that's the feed wheel and the sharpening stone. I'm wrong. The sharpening stone's a different stone, so it's just a feed wheel, unless someone's going to correct me on that and tell me that that's not true. But I believe that's all it does. Is it's got texture to it, and that's what does the feeding of it in there. Vince said that most people sharpen more often than they need to. You only need to sharpen, he says, whenever it's pulling and not cutting a nice straight line, that then you should look at sharpening it. I haven't sharpened it yet. I've been using it now for, time frame probably isn't relevant, but I've used it on a dozen and a half projects, I guess I would say. I've cut quite a bit of leather with it so far. This project that I'm in the middle of, the bags, is my biggest batch of projects first. There's 10 of those travel totes, and out of those 10 travel totes, there's probably about 12 foot of skive that happens on the leather for each one of those. So that's a pretty good distance of skiving. But I'll kick the horse one more time. I'm happy I bought it. I think if you're looking for a skiver, I think it'll work well. If there's a skiver out there, someone can put in their comments if there's another piece of equipment that doesn't have some of the issues that I'm talking about here, then put it in the comments and help the next person down the line. And if there was another piece of equipment out there that was of similar cost that didn't have some of those problems, would I go through the trouble of selling this and buying that one? No. I think I've found my ways around and understand what I need to do with it. It doesn't take very long after I made a few cuts just to reach in there and clean out that bell. It would be nice if it didn't hang up in there for me. Anyway, I promised a review of the piece of equipment. Maybe when I get a year on the piece of equipment, I'll do another review. I don't want to wear you out with reviews on the same piece of equipment over and over again, but I'm extremely happy with it. It does a good job for me. I talked about adding some light to it. I've got light that I've added to it, and I think that's about it. Please like, share, and subscribe, but more importantly, I do hope you have a great day.